We went to the poll books to go find the voter. We observed them go to the poll books, not find the voter, and enter in a new entry with the birth date of January 1st, 1900.
Okay, well, that's a giveaway right there, because 1900 is the data slot they use. So this is in the medical field too. My friend explained it to me because he works in data at a hospital. So 1900, they put this into the systems when they don't have an actual date of birth for a patient. So if they bring a new patient in and they don't have the day of birth, they put 1900 immediately. So if you come for same-day voter registration and it's not in the system yet, if you look up someone's name in the voter registration system, it's going to come up as 1900. That's a dead giveaway that they're lying about all of this. All of this is complete bullshit. She just mask off right there, 100%. This is all gone.
Davis, you have, for example, you brought a pile of them with you tonight.
That's right. I did, Sean.
No way she just
we keep hearing the drumbeat of where is the evidence. Right here, Sean.
Holy shit.
234 pages of sworn affidavits. These are real people, real allegations, signed with notaries who are alleging the following, among other contentions. They are alleging, this is one county, Wayne County, Michigan. They are saying that there was a batch of ballots where 60% had the same signature. They are saying that 35 ballots had no voter record, but they were...
We have people with no identification saying there's voter fraud. Here's our where's that guy at we were just watching? Here's our proof.
Counted anyway, that 50 ballots were run multiple times through a tabulation machine. That one woman said her son was deceased, but nevertheless somehow voted. These are one of many, many allegations in one county.
If you're dead and you vote, they check it against the register. And if you're dead, they don't count the vote. It doesn't matter if you try to vote and you're dead. They're not going to count it.
County, no less,
Jesus.
where poll watchers were in many cases threatened with racial harassment. They were pushed out of the way, and Democrat challengers were handing out documents how to distract GOP challengers. These are real, and anyone who cares about transparency and the integrity of the system should want this to pursue to the discovery phase.
You know,
I definitely bet they're real people. Like, they can get anybody to do this. We're a country of 340 million people. I guarantee they can get at least 200 people from each county in each state to come out and say they saw voter fraud. 100%. Like, they can have a massive, like, Project Veritas type organization, but ran by the Trump campaign.
I would imagine, Ronna McDaniel, if this was the Democrats and the margins were this thin, and you had this many people, you know, a sworn affidavit. Well, you do that, are you going to get 240 people willing to risk the charge of perjury to sign an affidavit and say that I saw something I didn't see? That's a stretch for me. Then you add to that the voting laws about partisans.
Oh, but it's not a stretch once you see what we just watched.
Partisan observers can be there for the entire vote count. And we know in many states that didn't happen. I'm trying to wrap my head around how do you remedy this to the point where anybody is going to believe any results that this has any integrity or that people can have confidence in. And then you compare it to states like Florida and Ohio, two swing states. You got to call those races, you know, 8:30 or 9 in Florida, for example.
But that is scary if you have enough people saying that. And what if they don't get proof that they're wrong about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is where you saw Politico put out a poll that 70% of Republicans don't have faith in the results of this election right now. And this is why. It's been rigged from the beginning. Rigged from the laws that were being passed in the name of COVID to create a porous election. Rigged in the sense that they kicked Republicans out of poll watching and observing.
Not true at all. This is completely unfounded. It didn't happen. If they didn't let people in, it was because there were already an even amount of Democrats and Republicans in the room. There's Republicans and Democratic challengers in the room. They need to be an even proportion. If they let more Trump people in, it would be outnumbering the Democrats. So they didn't let them in for that reason and also for COVID restrictions.
Why do you do that if you have nothing to hide? And now you have a media
There's Republican
that's
lawyers
rigging
everywhere.
it again by saying we're not going to even listen
and for
to
people who watch this on YouTube, do you really think that the Republicans went through all of Election Day, found no fraud? They didn't make sure, after this entire time saying the election was going to be, you know, full of fraud, they didn't find anything on Election Day. And then only after Election Day, now they find fraud in the exact states that they need to overturn to win the Electoral College, and also only in Democratic strongholds, where if they overturn those areas, they would win the states. Like, seriously?
These stories. We're not even going to validate the 11,000 incident reports that we have, the 500 affidavits we have across these states, people testifying under oath how they were disenfranchised from this problem. That's the problem. And the other thing is, it is stealing. When you validate a vote that shouldn't be in, you are stealing from a voter that voted legally. So when you see these people in Detroit saying, we saw batches of votes that were invalidated, they had the wrong name, they didn't live there, they weren't a resident, they were deceased, and then you put them back in the pile of valid votes, which is what some of these affidavits maintain.
Evidence.
That is stealing. You are stealing from people who are voting legally. And the media, right now, by refusing to report on this, is stealing our faith in the election process. Tell the story. Talk about the people who are being disenfranchised.
Literally, they cited a Project Veritas story at their last press conference. And by the way, Trump doesn't just want this issue to be resolved, by the way, this issue. He also wants literally 700,000 ballots thrown out because he said there weren't enough Republican inspectors in the room at the time. He literally wants millions of ballots, not only those 700,000, that's only in Philadelphia, but he wants millions of ballots thrown out. He doesn't care about fraud. When Rudy Giuliani talks about this topic, he literally says, not we have to make sure 100,000 ballots are good, we have to overcome 100,000 ballots. Overcome as in get enough ballots overturned to flip it to Trump. Their goal is to win the election by invalidating democracy.
People across this country deserve to have election integrity, faith in our election system, and believe that there is election integrity. And that's why the RNC is going to pursue this to the very end. We can never let this happen again.
You said 11,000 incident reports. Explain that.
11,000. So 11,000 people have come forward and said, or incidents of they were at a poll site and these things. So we vet them. We get statements from them, and then we put it in front of the attorneys, and then we get affidavits. It is a long process. And remember, just as...
Yeah, and if dead people voted or something, in a recount, that would all be swept up if it wasn't swept up in the first counting. And also, like, there's no evidence that it happened the first time through. So definitely they would get it if they recounted all the ballots.
Brian said, the canvasses aren't even done right now. So during the canvass process in Detroit alone, we are coming across absentee ballots that were cast that have no address, that don't correlate with a precinct. So these are things that we're discovering the more we go. We don't even have all the information. The data teams haven't been able to go in and analyze the software. That's why these subpoenas are so important.
You can say all
of
this
stuff. So it is a long
stuff
process, and people need to be
true,
patient. And the media keeps saying, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Because they're not giving us time to show it. But even the evidence we're putting forward, they're deciding, oh, we're not going to...
If there was huge election fraud evidence at this point, it wouldn't be like, okay, give us time to find it. The lieutenant governor position in Texas, the person running for it used $1 million from his campaign as a reward for people who would come forward with voting fraud stories. They're searching for this stuff. They are digging in, trying to find anybody they can that will lie about this.
Report it, or we're going to break away from press conferences, and we don't want to hear from these 500 people who have signed affidavits talking about what they saw with this election.
Isn't it a lot of it, Kayleigh, when you get down to it, if all of a sudden we've never done this before, where you're going to have people that didn't even solicit a ballot, they're being mailed ballots, okay, are we checking the rolls? I understand, for example, in the state of Georgia, that there's a case building there where, for example, there had been a lawsuit, Georgia Democratic Party, the Democratic National Senatorial Committee and Congressional Committee, and they came to an agreement, and the agreement would allow... They have one database that every day of voters' signature is checked by. But then they had in Georgia, you requested an absentee ballot that as long as the application signature matched the signature of the person that voted, that would be okay, when the whole purpose would be what's the one on file, isn't it?
So they want very strict signature guidance for throwing away ballots, which is really bad because then you could leave the room up for throwing away certain ones that don't match. If there's a slight discrepancy between your signature when you sign your application or what you have on record versus what you do on election day, they throw your ballot out. I don't know about you guys, but my signature from time to time is very different. If they did that, my vote would probably be thrown out at that point. Like, I don't know about you guys if you have signature issues like that, but my signature isn't perfect every time. So what if there's someone who is really strict about it and they're like, oh, this isn't perfect, I'm going to throw out that ballot. And he said a clear point there. So Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia, there's a very strict process to request your mail-in ballot. They don't just give it universally to people. That's what Donald Trump has a problem with, which might have some fraud issues. Like if you just literally mail a ballot to everyone in the country, maybe you'll have issues. But Georgia and Pennsylvania, which are the two states most contested right now, they did not have this issue at all. You had to go through a rigorous process, certified through multiple levels, through your social security number, through the state, like all of that.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And then you have states like Pennsylvania where they just threw away signature verification altogether. These are key methods we use to make sure the people voting are actually the people who are deserving of the enfranchisement of that ballot. Here in Michigan, again, one county, 234 pages of affidavits. In this case, there are multiple eyewitnesses we went to the poll books to go find the voter. We observed them go to the poll books, not find the voter, and enter in a new entry with the birth date of January 1st, 1900.
Okay, well, that's a giveaway right there because 1900 is the data slot they use. So this is in the medical field too. My friend explained it to me because he works in data at a hospital. So 1900, they put this into the systems when they don't have an actual date of birth for a patient. So if they bring a new patient in and they don't have the day of birth, they put 1900 immediately. So if you come for same-day voter registration and it's not in the system yet, if you look up someone's name in the voter registration system, it's going to come up as 1900. That's a dead giveaway that they're lying about all of this. All of this is complete bullshit. She just mask off right there, 100%. This is all gone.
Tell me how that works. Integrity in the system.
It's a very happy old person. Look,
that is a very happy old person.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Call the match. Ding, ding. Right at the end. Right at the buzzer. Ding it. It's over. Complete fake.